Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear. And hey, this is a podcast for the chili head community, by the chili head community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Man, we have an amazing episode here tonight. We have 3 sauces on deck for Hot or Not, and a very, very fun guest that is all the way from Canada. We're going to be talking about some great Canadian hot sauces here, as well as a very fun game planned. So episode 99 starts now. Welcome on in, Swear Nation. So glad to have everyone here rocking and rolling, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, Apple Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this show what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are just curious about the world of hot, because this is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Up tonight, we have 3 sauces on deck from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce, straight out of Canada, as well as Michael from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce as our guest here tonight. So we're going to be diving in, getting a better understanding of what Purple Tongue Hot Sauce is all about, how it got started, and much, much more. So also, we have a very fun game. So if you have a different answer than how the game was played, go ahead and let us know down in the comments how you would have answered that differently. And hey, let's go ahead and jump on over to Hot or Not. Hey, welcome on into Hot or Not. If this is your first time checking out Hot or Not or the podcast, I do things a little bit different here. I don't do a 1 out of 10 scale for breaking down on these products. I do a 1 out of 5, and that's based off of 5 categories. That's heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, burn. I add those up, average them out, and that gives us our total swear word rating. Now, the other thing I like to do is I do not like to read the ingredients on the product ahead of time. I like to let my taste buds do that exploration. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the sauces that we have on deck here tonight. So all of these are from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. We have the honey garlic, the cilantro lime, and then we have Nashville North. So we're going to be diving into all of these. They all look absolutely amazing. You see the great graphic on the front, the flames exploding, the peppers are there. You see the husky on the background, and just very, very well clean, very, very easy to understand what you're about to get into. So absolutely loving the labeling there. So with that being said, I think I'm going to start out with the honey garlic first. So, as always, have my handy-dandy tablespoon, and go ahead and give this one a good shake. Definitely, you can see it is a slightly thicker sauce. I mean, it's got some nice flow once you start to get it going, but let me go ahead, and it has a perforation. Oh, I'm going to get the whole thing with it. It has a perforation on the side, so you can just grab the tab and pull. So now that that's out of the way, now you can actually see a good overall representation of this here flow. Like the color, nice, dark, deep color going on here. But with the lighting, you're able to see almost a reddish hue to this otherwise very dark sauce. So looking forward to this one. But let's go ahead and jump on into honey garlic from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. Oh, wow. Right off the bat, there's some sweet notes, some savory notes. It smells like maybe some soy sauce or some kind of a salty note that is coming forward on this sauce. So what's interesting is the pepper notes are there. They're towards the finish of the aroma, but they are definitely more faint than I would be expecting. All in all, absolutely phenomenal. Dancing on the nostrils, great aroma, great overall look. You can definitely see on the sides of the bottle from where I shook it. I'm already salivating just thinking about this. You can already see where I shook it. You can see little specks of maybe that's pepper, maybe that's garlic, something of that tune. So let's go ahead and give this a pour. Oh, beautiful. As to be expected with the name honey garlic, that pour is perfect. It flows, it looks, it holds just like you would expect honey to look and flow and hold. So let's see if this has a different aroma now that it's on the spoon as opposed to being in the bottle. Okay, it actually does. That's pretty cool. Just ever so slightly, you're getting more of the honey note carried forward once you have a wider surface area really to get out there, as opposed to, say, straight from the bottle neck itself. So cheers. Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Holy cow. Let's talk about that. Second that you get that bite, you're getting in, you get that great, very soothing honey taste with a little bit of what tastes like maybe some soy sauce, a nice garlic pop. Then you're getting that peppers coming in, great body, great flavor. And then those pepper notes just really start to ramp in, and that garlic and that honey start to become a more subtle note to the overall pepper notes that you're picking up flavor-wise. I am salivating like crazy. This is delicious. Now, let's talk about heat. Heat I view as that first max 30-second window. Boom, right out the gate. This one, you're getting about 10 to 15 seconds of amazing, flavorful explosion. You're just absolutely being able to enjoy this flavor. It is an absolute pleasure to go through, with the honey adding just enough sweetness, the peppers coming in with that savory like soy sauce, some kind of soy sauce or something like that taste that comes on as well, and those pepper bodies and that garlic all coming together. It is very harmonious flavor. And then you start to get that heat start ramping up. You get the pepper bodies ramping up. It lashes out full on mouth assault and really starts to latch onto the back of the throat and lower portion of the throat and build up in heat. And it just cranks it on up. Nice, slow build, but at the same time, slightly fast in a sense at the same time. So definitely curious to know kind of what's going on as far as pepper source inside of this sauce. So we'll be diving into that, but I can definitely tell you that they are Superhots and absolutely phenomenal sauce here. Versatility wise, I could see myself using this on pizzas, wings, burgers, sandwiches. I mean, pretty much, pork. I could see that going great with that. Chicken, any kind of fried foods. That is going to be phenomenal. Fried, a fried kind of protein on a taco. That is going to awaken it and bring it to life. I could also see this going amazing, drizzled on a nice donut. Even though it is honey garlic, the garlic is not so like in your face, knock you out over it. It's very well balanced, very well subtle throughout the whole time. I'm just salivating like crazy right now. This is absolutely amazing. Let's do this. Let's talk about the burn. Briefly mentioned it. It does end up leaving the front of the mouth, migrating mostly to the back of the throat, lower portion of the throat. Nothing really in the chest, nothing in the stomach. All in all, absolutely amazing. Definitely wanting to go back in for more. Another area you could potentially use this sauce is in a mixed drink. That would be pretty interesting and pretty fun as well. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and read some ingredients here. So, ingredients for honey garlic from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce says honey, And then, yep, there we go. Gluten-free soy sauce, Carolina Reaper, and Boot Jolokia peppers, garlic, ginger, water, and then tapioca flour, and that is organic. So, absolutely phenomenal work there. Very limited ingredients going on, and just utilizing every bit of those ingredients to just explode flavor and heat all over your food, all in your mouth. This is a flavor bomb that has you coming back for more. Absolutely love that one. All right, here we go. Honey garlic from Purple Tongue hot sauce. Heat coming in at 3.9, aroma of 3.89, flavor of 4.24, versatility of 4.24, a burn of 4.15 for a total swear word rating of 4.09. There we go. Honey garlic coming strong out the gate with a phenomenal sauce from Purple Tongue hot sauce. Absolutely amazing. If you haven't tried that one, I highly recommend you checking that one out. If you're brand new to, eating spicy food, probably not the one you want to start out. This is going to be geared to those individuals that are constantly working on their own personal best, or you start to hit a plateau and you're wanting to push yourself further. This is a phenomenal sauce to be able to do that and be able to enjoy the process along the way. Absolutely amazing. Let's do this. Let's grab the next sauce here. All right, let me grab cilantro lime, give it a good shake. Once again, nice perforation pull tab. So go ahead and give that a good yank and move it off to the side. So go ahead and I'm going to take this cap part of the wrapper off and give it one more good shake. Oh my goodness. That smells phenomenal. Definitely picking up the cilantro. Picking up subtle notes of the citrus going on here. There's a little bit of an herby note as well going on. Maybe that's garlic as well. All in all, it smells very inviting, very soothing. Looking forward to getting into this one. This sauce has a nice light green look to it, almost a greenish yellow, if you will. So looking forward to jumping into it. But let's go ahead and give it a nice pour, and we'll take a look at the consistency. Definitely slightly thicker, but all in all, once this sauce gets flowing, it is going. So, oh wow, that is amazing. Very bright on the spoon, opens up so much more. There is just a deep depth to this overall sauce body. I can't pinpoint what that other note is that's dancing on the nostrils, but I am loving it, and I'm looking forward to jumping into this, so cheers. Man, that is amazing. I can already tell you the flavor forward nature of this. If you are one that is not cilantro friendly, if you're not one that likes cilantro, hate to break it to you, you're going to be missing out on an amazing sauce, because this, you'll definitely pick up a lot of the cilantro right up front. It's very bright. It's a very nice addition to what's going on here. That citrus note comes through, it kind of cuts through, is a nice palate cleanse, as then you start to get this kind of herby note, and then the peppers just really start to ramp up from there. I am loving this one from a versatility standpoint. This is going to be an absolute must-have for any kind of rice dish. This is going to go great with salads, pork, steak, chicken, you name it, burgers, sandwiches, pizzas, tacos, you name it, it's going to be on it. That is a home run there. still salivating. Very fresh, very inviting. And in that aspect is where I'm like immediately drawn to utilizing this sauce in, say, mixing up my own salad dressing at home and having this thing really be the star of the show, because it will be phenomenal with that. Any kind of like Indian or like putting this on a gyro would be absolutely phenomenal as well. The just endless thoughts that are running through my head on this sauce. The only thing I probably wouldn't be using this on is going to be desserts, not geared towards it. Not a big deal. So, as far as the heat is concerned, initially, you're getting a little bit bigger window here as far as the flavor goes before the heat comes in, compared to, say, honey garlic. You're going to get, ideally, I said roughly about 15 seconds of window of flavor with honey garlic before you really start to pick up the heat starts to coming in. But with the cilantro lime, you're getting maybe closer, almost out of the heat range and starting to get in strictly burn. So about that 20-25 second range of flavor coming in before you start to really get those peppers. So as far as the burn is concerned, this once again is a full-on mouth assault, and it's really gravitating towards the back of the throat and the lower portion of the throat. Nothing in the chest, nothing in the stomach. Absolutely phenomenal. Very nice, refreshing sauce here with a nice overall well-balanced savory notes. And really the peppers, while you're able to pick them up, they're not really, the star of the show per se. That cilantro and that lime and that kind of, there's like an herby note in there as well that's really carrying forward. So curious to see what's going on in here. So let's take a look at the ingredients. All right, reading off the ingredients for cilantro lime. We have ingredients of cilantro, Carolina Reapers, and boot jolokia peppers, apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, carrot, garlic, olive oil, lime, ginger, onion, pink Himalayan salt, and black pepper. All right, here we go. We have cilantro lime coming in with heat of 3.65, aroma of 4.2, flavor of 3.89, versatility of a 4, burn of 3.9, for a total swear word rating of 3.93. Man, another very solid sauce from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. This is cilantro lime. Absolute amazing sauce. If you are working on your own personal best, you're constantly pushing yourself, this is going to be a great one for you. If you like a nice pop of heat, obviously, if you're just working your way up, use in moderation, find where you're comfortable, and continue to work on applying this into your food. You're going to love it, and you're going to absolutely enjoy it. Probably not geared towards those individuals just starting out, though. So let's do this. Let's check out Nashville North. Give it a good shake. This one definitely has much more flow than, say, the last two. You can hear it even with the shake. You got a lot more production going on from a flow standpoint. And it has, again, the perforation, so you can just pull the tab on the side and open it up. Get that cap off to the side and open this one up. So Nashville North. Wow. Definitely picking up a little bit of a sweet note. Maybe that's cinnamon. And then you're definitely picking up the pepper body, a little bit of vinegar. It's there's something there that is familiar that I can't quite pinpoint. I mean, it smells like an absolutely amazing wing sauce, and with the name Nashville North, it's obviously going to be, I would interpret, as a Nashville style sauce. So lending itself to fried foods, explicitly fried chicken, is going to be, something I would think right off the bat without even trying it. So very nice pour, nice flow, much thinner than the last two. Perfectly fine. This is a Nashville style sauce. Wow. Right on the spoon. Nice overall zesty pop from the spices. I think that's cinnamon that I'm picking up too. It's hard to pinpoint, but we'll see whenever we look at the ingredients, but cheers. Man, that is so unique. It is so good. I can feel it hitting the back of my throat right now, as you can hear. Now, the overall flavor that is coming through on this, I mean, you're picking up a sweet note that's in there, but it also is reminiscent of maybe a little bit of like it tastes sweet. So it reminds me of like chicken and waffles. So like a syrup with that waffle and that chicken, that's kind of what this is bringing, but it also has the nice heat that's coming forward. There's a smooth, creamy note that's kind of coming on from a flavor standpoint. So definitely curious to see what's going on in there. Still, like I said, picking up that cinnamon in the flavor from the way that the heat comes on. It hits the back of the throat pretty darn quick. So it's definitely got to be a nice Superhot that's in there that's going to be attacking the back of the throat. But from the standpoint of the lips, in the gums, and the tongue, the heat is very quick to hit, latch on, and hang on. So with that being said, this is definitely got a nice sweet twist to this sauce that, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, would remind me of like a chicken and waffles more so than a, just traditional Nashville sauce, right? This has a very unique approach, very clear outline of, the intentions here, because, this is very, very well crafted, phenomenal tasting sauce. Now, this sauce, from a heat standpoint, once again, not a sauce that you would probably want to just jump into if you're just starting out. If you're working on your own personal best, you are constantly pushing yourself, this is going to be a great sauce for you. You're going to be able to use this with fried foods, burgers, sandwiches, tacos, chicken and waffles, because I'm going to go ahead and say that now. Pretty endless. Pizza. There's so few things that I can think that this would not work out well with. The only thing I probably wouldn't be gearing towards is going to be dessert. I was trying to think of a dessert that this might work towards, and I just cannot picture one right now. This would be phenomenal too, to bring some spice, bring some flavor to a Bloody Mary. This is a great sauce for that. The burn, let's talk about it. So the burn is definitely sitting on the back of the throat now. You're still getting a nice mouth tingle, as to where the other two, kind of the mouth faded away pretty quick. This is kind of just lasting there. It's kind of a slow, slowly dissipating, but it is definitely lingering in the mouth. Hitting the back of the throat, maybe not quite as violent as, say, the last two as far as the back of the throat, but the way that it hits the back of the throat, it's making it much more noticeable on the throat than, say, the heat factor of it just really ramping up, going wild, and just burning you down. This is much more of a noticeable feel of that burn on the back of your throat. So nothing in the chest, nothing in the stomach, really just residing on the back of the throat and about the lower portion of the throat as well. Let's do this. Before I continue on, let's read some ingredients here. So, Nashville Hot from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce says ingredients are apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, there we go, dragon's breath, and cayenne peppers, smoked paprika. Here's the sweetness: blue agave nectar, maple syrup. So that makes sense why it has that chicken and waffles type of vibe in my mind. Some brown sugar, Organic clarified butter, and that makes sense as to why that creamy, savory note kind of just really refines out that creamy note, really lending itself here. Next, we have red onion, garlic, onion powder, garlic powder, cinnamon, olive oil, Himalayan pink salt, and black pepper. Man, oh man, this sauce is a force to be reckoned with. Nashville North, very unique approach to the Nashville style sauce. Tons of great flavor. I love that this sauce is going to be very applicable to being able to do, chicken and waffles. And I am going to explicitly go out and get some of this tomorrow so that I can put this all over it and really see what this whole experience would be like with some spicy chicken and waffles. That would also be a great wing sauce because those individuals that like that sweet and spicy on that wings, that is that perfect balance that really be able to drive that home and really make that sauce sing. All right, so for Nashville North, we have heat coming in at 3.9, aroma of 4.1, flavor of 4.3, versatility of 4.1, with a burn of 4.3 for a total swear word rating of 4.14. There we go. Another amazing sauce from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce out of Canada. Absolutely doing amazing things. Unique flavors. Very simplistic as far as the ingredients list and really making those ingredients sing and using some very unique notes to do so. Ramping up the heat and leaving it there, making you want to come back for more. If you like these three sauces, I will have the direct links down below, as well as a main link to the website so you can check out the full lineup from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the interview. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, Brandon.
Man, it is. I've heard such great things, from you, from Drew, and really just being able to experience the hollowed, collaboration sauce as well. That is phenomenal. So excited
Thank
to
you.
learn more about Purple Tongue Hot Sauce and how you got started.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again for having me.
Well, one thing I always start out with is, and definitely whenever getting to know someone, is what got you into the world of hot, and then what was that catapulting moment where you're like, I'm going to start making my own spicy products?
Wow. So I could not eat spice. I've always wanted to enjoy spicy foods, but I could just never ever do it. And I would say about 10 years ago, one of my best friends, his name's Richie, started growing all these hot peppers at his home. And we would go there, just during the summertime, have beers, barbecue, whatever. And he'd have all these pots lined up on his deck. And they just looked so cool. I was like, wow, he had ghost peppers, he had Scotch bonnets, he had scorpions, um, ghosts, no reapers, because I don't think the reaper was accessible then. But he had all these peppers, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, you know what, man, I got to get into this one day. So the end of the year, he had produced his own mango sauce in his own little blender, pulpy mango stuff. I was like, you got to give me some of that because I need to figure out how to get my tolerance up. So he gave me a jar of it. It was amazing, very flavorful, but super, super, super hot. So I could only do like teaspoons at a time in like a dish of like chicken and rice because eat a lot of Asian style foods. And I just kept getting the tolerance up, and the Reaper was then kind of getting prominent. I started watching all the videos on YouTube and watching people go through pain, and I'm like, this is craziness. Why people would do this? And I happened to catch it at my local nursery where they started selling Reapers. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I grabbed one year and I brought it home to to grow myself because I thought it was just like my friend. I thought it would be the coolest thing. My wife ended up buying a Vitamix. And at the time, I was like, what do we need another blender for? She started making some smoothies and some shakes. And I'm like, wait a minute. this blender grinds the stuff down to like a smoothness like this because I love the consistency of it. Because
Yep.
my friends was just pulpy and chunky and stuff like that, lots of seeds, which is great, if you like that. But I tend to like stuff more smooth. So the end of the year, I started looking into recipes, and of course, I made my own mango sauce. That was the very first sauce I ever made. It's not very original. A lot of people make mango sauces. That's why it's part of my lineup because it was the first thing I ever made. And I put together a recipe, blended it all up in the Vitamix. Wife wasn't too happy about that the next time she made something. So I got my own container, but I made it and I was like, wow, this is actually really, really cool. It was really fun. I love blueberries. So I kind of took that concept and made a blueberry sauce. So for years I had my own mango and blueberry sauce. And anywhere I was, my old job, we used to have a family business. So I would always take my hot sauces into family business and let the other employees try it. Of course, it was scorching hot and they couldn't eat it, but that's what I loved about it was the fact that it was flavorful and it was extremely hot. So fast forward to 2020 when COVID hit, and COVID ended up shutting my family business down.
Hmm.
Which our family, my father's been in like gaming and bingo halls since the early 70s. So
Okay.
we had a family business that was shut down essentially by the government shutdowns, and we ended up losing the business. But that entire summer of 2020, it just so happened to be one of the nicest summers up here. Finding things to do to occupy our time. So I went again back to the local nursery, and they started having like yellow ghosts, purple ghosts. They had chocolate habaneros. They had a variety of peppers that I'd never really seen before. So I loaded up on them. And that whole summer, I just grew a whole bunch in the garden, and I started making different recipes based on the color of the pepper or the heat level of the pepper. So I made a strawberry sauce, a raspberry sauce. I looked into how you make a carrot sauce. I was watching the New York Hot Sauce Expo, some videos, and Chili Klaus was on there, and he tried a carrot sauce from one of the vendors, and I was like, I like carrot juice. Carrots are pretty sweet. I'm going to try. So I started just getting really experimental with a bunch of different recipes, and by the end of 2020, I would say around October, I had in my cold cellar down in the basement probably about 12 or 13 different varieties of sauces that I had made just from being bored and doing my own little thing with. And I said to my wife, like, I'm kind of losing track of what's in all of these bottles. I'm gonna go get a printer. I'm gonna go get some labels. My branding is based off of my dog, who is a half husky, half chow, and he's got a purple tongue. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna create this label, and it was never intended to be a business. It was just while we're stuck inside, we're still shut down. Late November, there was no signs of our family business ever reopening again. And I created this label, and off of my personal Instagram page, I had created a Purple Tongue hot sauce Instagram account. And I just announced it, and I said, "Hey, everyone, this is what I'm doing. As you know, my family business was shut down. I've made all these sauces. Follow me on my pepper journey as I try different stuff." And one guy who I hadn't seen in like 25 years from high school messaged me. He's like, "Hey, man, I want that carrot sauce that you just posted." I was like, no, they're not for sale. It's just, this is what I'm doing for fun. He's like, no, seriously, sell it to me. So I did. So I shipped it out to him. He lives about an hour away. He gave it to another friend I went to high school with. She then ordered up a bunch because she's like, I brought it into work. All the guys love it. So I gave her a variety of stuff. Then my wife had a lunch party one day where she invited all of her friends because she was making a whole bunch of vegan food. And, during the middle of it, she's like, why don't you go get your hot sauces and bring them out? So I did. So we were having the hot sauces with some of the food, and some of her friends were like, I want to buy this. And it just kind of stemmed from that. And the Instagram page started blowing up where people were adding themselves to it. And I was getting all these requests for sauces. And it was a case of, family and friends were trying to support me, which was great. And I had created probably about 40 different orders of stuff for people, which at the time I only had 6 sauces. So for 3 weeks, I was scrambling pretty hard because I didn't have a stockpile. And this wasn't meant to be like something I was going to sell 40 packs of 6 packs. It was like, what's going on here? So for the next 3 weeks, I went pretty hardcore creating all this stuff. And it was just prior to Christmas. So I got all these Christmas packs out for everybody. Christmas happens, the next week, and I slow down. I'm like, what just happened here? Like, that was insane. And the feedback I was getting from people were generally positive. Now, sure, initial sauces, there's going to be some mistakes in them. So I've since crafted them from there. But I was thinking, I don't have anything going on right now. I'm getting some great feedback on the sauces. So January rolls around. I'm like, maybe I'll start taking this seriously and see where this goes. So I created proper labels with ingredients list, barcodes, French and English, because that's what's required here. I looked into all of that stuff. And the first thing I did, and I know you know this from talking to Drew and Jeff, is I got them shelf tested, lab
Hmm.
tested. Because I wanted to make sure that whatever I was creating, I wasn't going to kill somebody. Because you hear all these botulism stories and how people got sick off something. So I really researched how to create a sauce that was going to be shelf stable. So invested a ton of money that I didn't have into getting this stuff tested. Got all the lab results back, and they all passed through flying colors. And they said, "Yeah, you're good for 2 years and all this stuff." Best before. So I created the labels, and I just kind of went from there. The starting point for me actually getting a little bit more into business and a little bit more serious was because of what happened to our family business and being shut down. I had a certain viewpoint on what the governments were doing to us small businesses, and they were pounding us into oblivion. And they weren't helping places like our family business had, where it was a gathering facility, so you couldn't go there, but you could
Yep.
go to Home Depots and you could go to Walmart. So I started getting really upset, and I started following, for lack of a better term, freedom fighters or guys that were sticking up for small businesses. And there was a few guys that were getting on YouTube, and they were, getting, some promotion about it because they were either walking the boat or whatever. But these were guys that were sticking up for small businesses. So I went and met with a few of them, and I explained what happened to me. And they're like, "Go get your stuff, put it on my shelves." So that's how I immediately got credibility in a way where I actually had my stuff in stores now. It wasn't just a hobby. And from there, I just started getting myself into farmers markets. Had some good success there. I think the first day we did a farmers market, we sold like 40 bottles, made like $300, and
Nice.
it's like this is positive. Like this is really really good, and all the reviews I was getting were really really good. Fast forward to late August of 2021, and we do one of the hot sauce expos up here in Ottawa. And I'm a few weeks into actually being out there in public selling, and my honey garlic sauce ended up winning hot sauce of the year at that event. It was heating up the Capitol. Heiko from Heiko's Hot Sauce, well, and him and his wife Angela were the ones that had created that event. So I was able to immediately advertise myself as an award-winning hot sauce now. So I got into a few more stores, got more credibility, and then it just kind of went from there. Where I had the six sauces originally, and some friends were like, "Oh, you need to make more." I'm like, "No, six is enough. I don't need to make more." But then I started getting creative again. Some people wanted me to make a barbecue sauce, so I made a barbecue sauce. Of course, I made it to my liking. I added some heat to it. I added some smoke to it. Nice flavorful sauce. And then I had a pineapple soy sauce and just I went from six, and now I got 15 working on a 16. And here we are 5 years later. Every year I've been on the rise sales wise. I've added a bunch of stores. I got a ton of awards to my name now, and a bunch of collaborations. Guys like Jeff, who I've become extremely good friends with over the years, and we talked about just upping the ante of Canadian hot sauces, and because everybody and their mother during COVID started doing hot sauces. It was the thing to do. That or making breads at home, stuff like that.
Yep.
It's what people were doing, and there's not a lot of good makers out there. People just think that you can just blend some peppers with some vinegar and some pepper and salt and jar it, and people are going to buy it. You could find that 1,000 different ways at the grocery store. So whenever I give advice to people, because I had a lot of advice early on given to
Hmm.
me. Eric Begg from Sorry Sauce was one of them. He was one of the first guys I talked to, and he mentioned to me, he's like, "Listen, welcome into the community. The community is amazing. People are very, very friendly. There's very few people that aren't." But, he gave me some great advice. So whenever I see new companies start off, the first thing I say to them is do something nobody else does. Don't do a mango sauce. That's been
Yep.
done 1,000 times before. Anybody can do that. Do something that I've never seen before. Make it great, and that's how you kind of break through. So when it came to like Jeff Davis and I, we were coming back from another expo last year, and we both had won an award. I had one for my Nashville, he had one for his Dragon Wing tonic sauce. And we're like, you know what? You and I are doing some really, really good stuff together. I think we could really turn this place upside down if we collaborated and did something together. So I threw out the idea. I said, I've been working on a peanut sauce. It's nowhere near what it needs to be. If you want, we can start from that. So I sent it to him. He worked on it, sent it back to me. And we went back and forth. Like you mentioned, it was kind of like a pen pal type of thing where I anticipate his sauce coming in the mail, and oh, there it is. This and try to like, oh man, it's not where it needs to be. And I'm like, Jeff, no, this is where we need. And I would send it to him, and he's like, no, we need to make some changes. So finally, we got it to a point where we think we had it. So I went to his place, and we threw it in a Vitamix, the ingredients that we thought would work, and we're like, that's it. That's a great sauce. So over the years, I've been fortunate enough to meet people like him, meet people like Drew from Hurtberry, who, one of my mentors because he's been in the game a lot longer. So it's funny when you actually meet these guys, you're like, oh, I'm meeting the guy that started Hurtberry Farms. Like this is craziness. Like I'm not worthy type of thing. And we just become really, really good friends because we have the same viewpoints on how to make a good sauce and the quality and what is needed. Uh, and I've just been very fortunate that I've been able to create good sauces that people like. I've The Nashville sauce was a collaboration again with a friend of mine out in Alberta, Dylan Lowry, who's got his Beyond hot sauce store. He started doing the Heating Up the Prairies expo out in Alberta, so a bunch of us flew out there to do his expo, and he liked what I was doing. So when I got home, he's like, "You and I need to work together on a sauce." And he threw the idea at me of making a Nashville sauce. And I was like, I don't know what a Nashville sauce is, but I'll look into it. And we crafted it from there. And again, it was the same thing where I had done like 2 or 3 test batches and he would give me feedback because he's quite experienced in what a Nashville sauce should be. I had an idea,
Mhm.
but I didn't know a great one from a poor one. And we just managed to create a great one, and it's won a ton of awards. It's become his bestseller out west. I just shipped another 6 boxes out to him, and aside from the honey garlic, it is my number one sauce. And it's just funny how things work. Where you start during COVID, you sell a couple of bottles here and there, and next thing you know, I'm selling 10,000 bottles a year now. And I've partnered up with another hot sauce company in a suburb of Toronto, and or so I shouldn't say suburb. It's Scarborough. It's more of a smaller city. So I've moved in with them. They're called Falk Foods, and I've been able to kind of go in there a few times a week and stockpile because every year I've tried to add more events. I'm not really into wholesale so much. I like the in-person experience. I like being able to talk to people. I like having them sample my stuff, and I love seeing the reaction when they both love the flavor and they get lit up. And
Yeah.
that's one thing about my sauces is when I started watching all of these videos on YouTube, all you see is people eating ghost peppers and reapers, and everything's extremely hot. And yeah, they're getting tortured by it, but they're also loving the experience. So when I came in, everything I did was hot for the most part. I have a rating scale out of 5. Most of my sauces at the time were 4s. I had a couple of 3s just because I thought I'd maybe give some variation. And the very first hot sauce expo I did was in London, and everybody that tried my stuff were like, "Oh my god, like your stuff is vastly hotter than everybody else here." It's like, well, isn't that what we're supposed to like? It's hot sauces. I thought that's what we were supposed to do, but I found that a lot of other vendors gravitated towards the milds, maybe had a couple of mediums, and then they had their Reaper sauce. Whereas I
Mhm.
was the opposite way. I had Reapers and Ghosts, and then I would scale down to like not so much Reapers and Ghosts in those sauces. And I've just kind of owned that. I own that area in the sauce world now up here. So whenever we do expos, if people are looking for not super hots, because I don't want to punish you, I want you to still enjoy what you're eating, but I will give you the heat. A lot of the other vendors would say, go see Michael at Purple Tongue. He's got what you're looking for, and vice versa. Like Jeff Davis, for instance, we often will be beside each other at markets because we've got the collab sauce together. It's easier for us to work. He tends to have a lot lower spice levels than I do, and I have higher. So we trade off each other a lot. You want something mild? Go see Jeff. You want something hot? Go see Mike type of thing. and I've kind of owned that area, and I kind of like that. And you see, I've seen over the years, all the other companies are starting to up their antes now too, whereas they were unsure before. It's people want heat. As long as you
Yeah.
give them the flavor, they will buy it and they will enjoy it. And I've had success doing it, so I'm going to continue doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's in a nutshell how I started.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I guess to touch on a few things that you had mentioned, and first and foremost, the idea with the Vitamix and the Vitamixer and having to get into a separate container. If you haven't experienced that, then you haven't been exploring your own creativity, because
Yeah,
Lord knows I've had that happen probably twice now, where I've used a family blender, vessel, if you will, and then have to go buy another one because I'm like, well, now that one's just forever
yeah,
spicy. Anything that goes in there is going
yeah.
to retain heat.
And
So
on that note, another thing to watch for anybody that's actually thinking of doing this, I make my own spice powders as well. It's just grounded reapers and grounded ghosts. The very first time I did that was in this very same Vitamix where I did it in the kitchen at home to see if I could pull it off. And as you know,
mhm.
that goes
Yep.
everywhere. So as soon as I pressed blend in the Vitamix, it was almost like somebody had just got a powder puff and just hit me in the face with a pillow of hot spice. And it leveled me to my knees. I was coughing. I was sneezing. My wife was in the other room. She starts yelling at me, Michael, what have you done? She's hacking. She goes running down the hallway. All I could do was laugh because it was the stupidest thing I could have done. But hey, listen, you got to learn somewhere, right? But
Yep.
that's one thing. So now you got to put the mask on. I got to put eyes because it'll get on your skin no matter what you do.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but that was a punishing experience, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever done in my life. So
Yeah.
just be forewarned if you're thinking of doing something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always funny, that those first learning moments. Same thing with whenever you're getting ready to clean out. Like we'll just continue to use the Vitamix vessel, but like whenever you go to clean out that container, you hit it with that hot soapy water. Get ready
Yeah,
to get aerosoled with,
yeah,
once again, the capsaicin all over in the air, on your skin.
yeah,
You have to be very very cautious as you proceed
yeah.
in that route. But it's a lot of fun, and that's what keeps it going.
That's what
Um,
we do. It's what we signed up for.
yeah, yeah. Having the mastermind essentially of you, Jeff, and Drew all to be there and pushing each other, helping, motivate is, I guess, the best term for that, but be able to instill that creativity is awesome to hear. And, I think I actually mentioned this with Jeff about being able to understand a better grasp of like the growth of hot sauce, if you will, or spicier products within Canada. It sounds
Mhm.
like y'all are really paving that way and helping kind of like facilitate the faster growth of that avenue there.
I think one of the things I've noticed over the years is if you make a great hot sauce, it's going to make somebody else rethink how they're doing things if they don't make a great hot sauce. It's all subjective. I get it. You know what I make, somebody may not like. I make a certain style of sauce where Drew makes a certain style of sauce. We're vastly different companies in the way we approach how we make hot sauces, but we make great products. There are a ton of new vendors that pop up every year in these expos, and I'll always go around and introduce myself and try. And there sometimes you'd be like, "Wow, that's a fantastic hot sauce! Like that's amazing." And then there's others that don't have that, and you say to yourself, "You need to go around and try a bunch of these other guys and kind of see where you sit right now." And it's not to slag anybody else. I just think I think sometimes people think it's just really, really easy to make a hot sauce. All you got to do is blend up some peppers, whatever, people will buy it. It's not the case. There was a company a couple of years ago in the London heat wave where this guy was going around telling everybody, I got the best sauce here. It's the hottest. And really all it was just ground reapers with some vinegar. There was no salt. There was no nothing. And it just tasted like garbage. So again, it's all subjective, but there is a level of quality and flavor that you need to get to. And I think in the last couple of years, there's a bunch of us up here that are doing that. If if you're not creating a sauce that people are wowing over, then you got to kind of take a step back and find out what it is that you're doing that's not getting the recognition.
Yep.
There's there's a quality level that I think that we've created, and I could humbly say that I've got some stuff that I think people really really like. So my quality level is definitely up there, and if it inspires people to want to get to that level, then great, because it's only going to make our industry that much greater up here, right? And I
Yep.
think over the years it's gotten much much better, and the likes of channels like yourself and Hot Ones and guys like Zach do down in Texas as well. There's a lot of problems. Superhot, the
Hmm.
documentary series there on the hot sauce world, like it's putting all eyes on companies right now. So you got to shine. You got to do some stuff that's really, really good if you want to succeed. It's not
Yeah.
just something you can just throw in a blender and expect people to buy.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess really a testament to that is, you had mentioned how the peanut sauce collaboration got started. Having an idea and then getting that idea to fruition are two separate things. Like
Mm-hmm.
really being able to have that grit, that understanding of like, okay, well, what needs to change? Have that critical thought go through on each intricate ingredient and all that goes in. I mean, it's not, to your point, it's not just something that's super simple. Just throw these things in there and you're done. There's a lot
Yeah.
more to that process.
Well, the process for us took about 2 months, and it helped that I had kind of started one. I wanted to make a Thai style satay for years, and when I started making it, I did a test batch at home. And all I did is I started with peanuts, or basically like a saltless, sugarless peanut butter, and I threw
Hmm.
that in with some soy, some sugar, some salt, and all I kept doing was just adding soy, adding salt, adding sugar, adding peanuts, and it just got to a point where it was just like a spicy, salty, sugary peanut butter, and I was like, I don't know what I'm missing. Like, what am I doing here? So to have Jeff there in a second set of eyes to be able to collaborate on this was great, and it really was, a 2 month process where we wanted to make sure that if we were going to do something, we were going to put our names on a product together, that it had to be great. It had to be something that the world would go, what the hell is this?
Yep.
And I think we've done that. That
Oh yeah.
sauce, I tell people in my markets, I said, you will not have a better crafted sauce than that. If you don't like peanuts, it ain't going to be your thing. But if you do, that's going to be one of the best sauces you ever tried. And every time we create the sauce together and make another batch, because we do small batches, and that's what we do. He's got his commercial kitchen in Kitchener that I'll go to, and we'll sit there and we'll do it. And it's crafted the exact same way every single time. And it's quality of ingredients, not putting any junk in there. It's making sure that every ingredient in there has got a purpose. So on top of a classic satay, we've added lemongrass, we've added tamarind and Szechuan peppercorn. So when I tell people, I said, when you're trying this sauce, it's not just peanuts. It's going to be the soy. It's going to be the curry paste, and it's just so much going on that. And we kept the heat level to a nice range where you're eating it and you're not getting punished by it. But after a few minutes, you're going to start feeling it in your mouth. You're going to start feeling it in your chest, and it's a great experience. And I think we've captured an amazing sauce with that one. So, but that took time. That wasn't something where, like, what, like my initial peanut sauce, that that was crafted in 5 minutes, and it needed work. And
Yep.
2 months later, we put that together, and that's how that came to be. And that's what you need to do. I would never release a sauce that I didn't think one passed my own standards. If I have any doubt whatsoever that somebody is not going to like it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to find a way to get that to a point where if it's not a 10 out of 10 in my mind, I'm not releasing it.
Yep.
A 9, sure, I can maybe over time get it to a 10, but yeah, it's you gotta craft. That's the way to do it. People, there's new companies coming up all the time that we see, and they're not there the next year, and that's why they're not crafters. They just think they can just easily walk in and just start selling it. It's not the case. So
Yep. Yep.
getting back to that whole quality and just upping the game up here in Canada. That's what you need to do. And there's a lot of great companies that come up, so it's good to see. You know.
Yeah. No, definitely. With I guess one thing to definitely mention on that, I absolutely used the hollowed on. I had ordered a pad thai, and I was like, don't put any sauce. I got the sauce. Don't put the
Yeah.
sauce. And oh my gosh, talk about a next level change on that dish.
Yeah.
And same thing, use that to coat on my spring rolls, my fresh spring rolls. Dude, it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if
It's a
I can
fantastic.
ever look at a different sauce for those
Yeah.
dishes.
Well, we've won two major awards for that one, so the proof is in the pudding there, so to speak. It won in Ottawa last year. It was the best hot category, and it beat out, I believe, it was like 45 other sauce entries. So that was fantastic to win. And then we just won the London Heat Wave, which is Ottawa and London. I would say do the top two expos up here, where they'll get the best of the best crafters. And they have their judging, they have their criteria for how they judge the sauces, and we had a pretty good feeling that this was going to win when we made it. We said, this is an award winner, man. Like, you're it's hard to top that quality of a sauce. So to be able to win in Ottawa in September, and then this past February in London, was it was great to see. It was justification for all the hard work we put in. So,
Yeah.
and I think there's more awards to come for that sauce.
Yeah, and you had mentioned doing different events up in Canada. Do you
Mhm.
predominantly just do events in Canada? Have you done any events outside, like whether it be the U.S. or Europe or anywhere else that
No,
you've
not
gone?
yet. Just only because I need to look into the FDA approval on that. I'm not certain what criteria needs to be met. I've always wanted to do events in the States. It would just really come down to, how do you get the sauce over the border? What do you got to claim? There's definitely some work involved in it,
Yep.
but it is something that I am, eyeing. Like, I would love to come down to Texas. I would love to introduce my stuff to people that don't know anything about me.
Yep.
The New York Hot Sauce Expo would be something I'd want to go to one year, and I just think that I have a pretty good confidence level in what I do, that I think I would do pretty well in those places, because I produce a lot of stuff that you don't normally see,
Yep.
and I think that intrigues people a lot. Like, I have my little stand-up display where I have the list of all my sauces and what it pairs with, and people sit there and they're like, "Wow, like, I never thought you could eat hot sauce in that way." Like, my blueberry sauce, not it's not overwhelmingly original, but it's the most versatile sauce I have. You can put it on salads, you can put it in French onion soup, you can put it on pizza, fried chicken, desserts. Like, it's endless. So I like being able to do certain things like that. In terms of other events that I do, I predominantly do big events. I've managed to find an event list, or like a schedule of events of major street festivals, rib fests, whatever food fests. Being going into my fifth year now, I've slowly every year just created a calendar where every weekend I'm going to be somewhere. So it's pretty much started a few weeks ago, where from now until the end of November I'm going to be somewhere.
Nice.
Unfortunately, nowhere in the States. It's going to be predominantly in Ontario, Southern Ontario. But that's how I gotta just keep growing, and then eventually I'll make my way down there. So, but I need to look into the FDA, so I hope to get that someday
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
and come
The
down and rock everybody's world in Texas.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, absolutely can see that happening. And to your point, which you had mentioned earlier, being able to interact, being able to, it's so fun to be on the side to watch people come up, the curiosity peak, and as you're saying, so many will come to the table to try something, and you can already tell that whenever you say, "Hey, what do you normally eat your hot sauce on?" They think, tacos, Mexican food, or like the normal kind of go
Yeah,
tos, right? But they don't ever really kind of think towards, whether they're incorporating it in a salad or how they're going to use it for cooking or how
Hmm.
this could benefit in different areas. But to be able to see that spark of passion, that aha moment happen right there, not only with the testing, the tasting, but also with just the understanding of how you can incorporate it. It's a lot of fun and exciting, at least for me, and it sounds like it is as well with you
Yeah.
for what you mentioned. So
Well, yeah, and that's part of it too. So when I started out, I created like a postcard of my six sauces with pairing combinations, what I thought it would go well with. And I've adapted that postcard probably three or four times because I've added sauces to it, but I've also added different recommendations too because my customers will tag me in my Instagram showing me how they've used the sauce. And I was like, what? I've never thought of that before. That's amazing. Like the blueberry. Friend had it on hot dogs. And another friend put it on pizza. And another friend put it on fried chicken. I was like, what? I just kind of put that on my eggs in the morning. That's kind of where I started with that sauce. I didn't know you could do that. So I started experimenting with things like that. So it's great to draw inspiration from your customers too, because they'll find different ways to eat the stuff than you normally would have thought of.
yep.
But it's all part of the process of interacting with your customers and watching the delight on their face when they try to go, oh my God, this would go amazing in this. And you're like, well, actually, yeah, you're right. It would go amazing in that. So
Yep.
it's pretty fun to watch that.
Yeah. And with having the core six really to start out with, and then as you've started to build and add new sauces, the very unique ingredients that you're utilizing and how you're using them, where do you is this all derived? I know the start you mentioned kind of like deriving some of that inspiration from things that you had either heard or seen. Is there now what's the thought process going on that, and how are you kind of, I guess, thinking through this sauce is going to have this, this, and this? Is there a method to that madness, or is you just finding things that you like and you're missing?
It came down to my original sauces were, for instance, I'll use the honey garlic as an example. I love chicken wings. I love honey garlic. I love spice. You're not getting that in the honey garlic sauce when you go to the bar. So I sat at home and I was thinking, okay, you know what? I love honey garlic. I'm going to make myself a Reaper honey garlic sauce. And I crafted one. And it's my best seller. It's my all-time best seller. It's the one I basically built my company on. And it's a fantastic sauce. And people, when they try, go, yeah, so when they see me on markets, they're like, honey garlic, that's not hot, is it? I said, yes, it is. It's very hot. I'm like, well, that's not traditional. That's why I do it. I want to give you that. And when people try it, like even people that say, oh, honey garlic, and I said, no, do me a favor, just try it. They try it and they go, that's the best honey garlic sauce I've ever had in my life. And they buy it. It's based on what I want my flavor palette to like. So
Yep.
when I created the mango sauce, the blueberry, the honey garlic, I created a carrot sun-dried tomato sauce, which I wasn't sure of at the very beginning. I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure it's very good. My wife tried it. She's like, my God, Michael, that's your best sauce. And I sent it to a few friends. They told me it was my best sauce. I was like, okay, all right, I guess I'm keeping that. So that was part of the original lineup. I made an apple lime sauce, which, again, generic sauce, but I love charcuterie and I loved having a nice fruit sauce with the lime in it to do that. But when it comes to crafting new sauces now, certain things were kind of given to me as to what the next sauce is going to be. So, for instance, this beer company here approached me about releasing a hot sauce for them. They created a hazy IPA beer that they thought would go well with my mango sauce. And so I crafted the sauce for them, which is essentially my mango sauce, but I brought the heat down. I've added the beer to it, so that went out the door that way. But their flagship beer is called Lug Tread, and it's a lager. And I was like, hey, listen, I know you guys make Lug Tread, and it's a hugely popular beer. Can I make a Lug Tread sauce for you? And they said, sure. So I was like, I'm going to do something really, really different because the Juiced AF, which is the the mango beer sauce that I crafted, it's pretty straightforward. You're getting the mango, you're getting the heat, you're getting the beer flavors, and that's a simple sauce. The lug tread sauce I call fuzz tread because I wanted to make a peach and lager hot sauce. When you look at the tasting notes of their beer, it kind of sounds like a pie. It sounds like an apple pie because they talk about apples, they talk about graham cracker flavor notes and all this. It was like, well, I've already got an apple sauce. I want to do a peach sauce, so I'm going to make a peach pie flavored hot sauce for them. So I sold them on the idea. So it's peaches, lager, and I've added cinnamon, pecan, and nutmeg to it with the apples, a little bit of apple, because I wanted a great sandwich sauce, and I wanted something that nobody's done before. I don't know anybody that has pecan as a prominent ingredient in their sauce because that creams up the sauce, and I also use a pecan oil. So I try to incorporate elements into the sauce that are really, really unique. So when you think of that sauce, you think of the pecan oil, you think of the pecans, you think of the cinnamon, the nut. Wow, and people they go, wow, that actually tastes like a peach pie. People get thrown off by it. They're like, well, how could I use that? I said, well, if you like a turkey club sandwich, throw that bad boy on there, and it's amazing.
Yep.
And they start thinking outside. They're like, wow, that's really. I go, get yourself some jerk foods,
Mm-hmm.
jerk pork, jerk chicken. That goes amazing on it. Get yourself some ice cream. So when I create sauces now, I try to create something that nobody has really ever thought of before, which goes back to my point before is if you're going to create something different, create something that nobody's ever seen. So when they see it, they raise an eyebrow, go, really? That's what you made? And
Yep.
that's kind of the thought process on that. I had mentioned to you before we went on air that I'm crafting another sauce right now. And it is a black cherry smoked whiskey, and orange sauce. So it's heavily reliant on smoke. So I'm using smoked paprika, smoked ghost peppers. I'm using a smoked whiskey. And to tie it into my branding, I've always wanted to figure out a way to commemorate my dog. My dog, his name is Sokochi, and my wife is Japanese. And we named him Sokochi because in Japanese, Sokochi means Scotch whiskey because that's
Okay.
my favorite drink. And he's a white dog and he's got a little brownish hue on him. And I was like, I need to make, all my sauce names are blueberry, mango, honey garlic. They're pretty generic. You know what you're getting when you buy the sauce. And I was like, I can't really ever call a sauce Sokochi because it doesn't make any sense, right? I can't commemorate him that way. But we recently had a scare with him where we almost lost him 3 weeks ago. I had to take him in for emergency
Mm.
surgery to save his life. And from that, I just had not a, it's almost like a secondary resurrection of my love for that dog and what he's meant to me. Because without him and without his likeness, I don't really think I have a company. I would never have thought of creating a sauce or a brand called Purple Tongue Hot Sauce with my Husky's image on it. So it's like, how do I honor this dog? And yeah, there you go. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm making a Scotch whiskey sauce with smoked paprika, um, and his name's Scotch. So I'm calling the sauce Sokochi. And it's going to be released in a few weeks. And it's one of the best sauces I've ever created. And to kind of tie it all back into Japan and the Japanese inspired sauce, not only is it called Sokochi, but I've added cherry blossom powder to that. And that is something that I was like, what can I do to make this really, really pop? Cherry blossom powder is very floral. It is sweet. And I threw it in and it works amazingly well. So I've added yuzu as well to it.
Oh,
So it does
nice.
lend itself more to a Japanese inspired smoked whiskey sauce. There's some Japanese whiskey in there too, which is another ode to Japan and honoring my wife and honoring my dog. So back to the point of what do I think of? Those are the things that I think of. What can I do that nobody's ever thought of before? So when I release it and I'm like cherry blossom powder, how the hell is that getting this guy's head? It's just experimenting, trying to find different things that will help the sauce stand out. And I can't wait to put this one out in the market because I think it is going to just destroy some taste buds and some mouths. It's amazing sauce. I can't wait for people to try it.
But yeah, absolutely. It sounds amazing. It's a great way to, as you're saying, honor and have a way to ingrain your dog into the overall branding, but also have a flagship product that this sounds like this will become a flagship product
Yeah,
that you're going
it's.
to be
I'll
able
get you
to.
some when it's. I wish I had it ready for you in time for this interview because anytime anybody tries it, they're like, "What the hell? This is crazy. the flavor is through the roof. And they immediately say, "Oh, this on a brisket, this on a pork, or this on whatever." Like it's just there's just so much going on with it. So I can't wait for people to try it.
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
definitely.
and and just adding to the point of creating sauces, chocolate mole is another one,
Mhm.
which I've sent to you. My love of Mexican foods. Local restaurant by me, they have a mole sauce. Never heard of it before. Tried it on some enchiladas. It was like, I gotta make this. So there's very variations of a mole sauce up here, but I don't think anybody really does anything like a true authentic mole. Now, of course, I'm not a Mexican, so it's not going to be truly authentic. But I think I've put a good recipe together that gets it very, very close. And most people that try it, especially Latin, Mexican community, they try it and they go, yeah, that's pretty damn good. So
Nice.
again, just getting inspired by other things and all based
Yeah.
on my taste buds, man.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like the fact that you're not going through the paces. I mean, you said that from the get go, and it's very clear and very true to what you're saying, what you're doing, and how you're executing on these things. You have that passion, you have that spark, that drive, that curiosity to continue to learn, to become that mad scientist of
Mm-hmm.
manipulating flavors and really finding out what works best for what you're trying to get out there. At the end of the day, your sauces are artwork, and that is your reflective thumbprint in that sauce. So absolutely loving that. And you also have wanted to point that out for all those that are watching and listening as well. You have your fire shaker, so in case you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
amp up anything that you already have out there, whether that be your food or
Mm-hmm.
adding it to a sauce, you can definitely escalate up the heat with that.
It's not a rub. It's not a rub. Remember that. I've had some friends coat their chicken in it thinking it was like a spice rub, only to find that it was extremely hot and they couldn't do it. It's just Reaper's and Ghost ground up, so it's going to light you up. But
Nice.
yeah.
Hey, that's something that people that were going to be more like me, they're going to gravitate towards that. Individuals that maybe just want to spice up talking about this with other condiments that they may have already been in love with, but you just can't find a spicy or alternative. That's a great avenue to bring some heat into
Mm-hmm.
that other condiment that they do enjoy, so, or
Yeah.
product.
And adding to your point before about crafting stuff, that's the best part of what we do is the research and development and starting from nothing and just adding a whole bunch of ingredients into a pot and seeing what works. And you bottle it, you try it a couple of days later, you go, no, it's missing this. You go back to the drawing board. Whenever I create a new sauce, that's what it is. It's like, okay, what is the ingredients that's going to be? What can I throw in this thing that's going to take it to another level? And that's the joy out of this whole thing is, not having great sauces is one thing and having success, but it's really just the love of the craft and just the chemistry and just being a mad scientist, as you said,
Yep.
kind
Yep.
of starting from nothing and building something. You're like, wow, that's amazing. The smoked whiskey sauce that I told you about, one batch, one try. That's it. I had an idea. Usually, when I create something, it's about 4 or 5 batches to a point where, okay, the quality is there, and then there'll be like a few little tweaks when it comes to mass producing it. That sauce in particular was crafted right then and there. I was like, I can't change this. I would never think of change. There's nothing I'm going to add to that sauce that's going to work any better than it does. So that one was a surprise, but very few times has that happened. It's usually a good work in progress over a good month or two, but that one was immediate. So
Yeah.
thankful for that.
It sounds like that was tapping into, some people talk about it being like tapping into the ether, hearing that great point of direction from some form of a muse, right? It sounds like you
Mm,
were able to channel that focus, that energy, that drive, and you had it nailed down perfectly
yeah,
just off of,
it's funny
hearing the
how the mind
pieces, seeing
works.
the pieces.
Yeah, it's funny how the mind works sometimes because started with 6. Now I got 15 working on 60. And I thought when I went to 8, I'm like, okay, that's enough. And then I got to 10. And then I got some collabs going. And I'm start going, okay, this is getting out of control. I got to start scaling back. But when an idea happens in your head and you're like, I think this will be really, really good. That's it. You drop everything. You go to the store, you get a list of ingredients, and you just start prepping something new. And you're like, I did it again. I've created another sauce I'm going to be putting to market. And it's just funny how that works, where you're like, no, like you get inspired, and instead of doing what you're normally supposed to be doing, that gets thrown off to the side, and you just start getting creative again. And
Yep.
I don't know where this will end in terms of how many sauces I'm going to have, but the smoked whiskey one though is going to be a seasonal one. I need to kind of scale back the amount of sauces that I bring to certain markets because it is overwhelming. There is something to be said for when you have like 4 or 5 sauces. It's a lot easier for their customer to, to think about. When you have 15, it gets a little overwhelming. It's like when you see a menu with like there's 1,000 different things, and you're
Yep.
like, I don't know.
Yep.
So I am in the process of scaling things back. When I go to markets, not everything is going to be on the counter. If I have like a long time fan of a certain sauce, like the applesauce, is not going to be one that I have on the because I have so many other sauces that are vastly superior to it. I still love it, but it's not something that's going to be on the counter. If somebody wants it, it's back here. Here you go, type of thing. So I am cognizant of that. But certain things like being seasonal, it's well, I just had some boxes fall in the back. Being seasonable is seasonal is kind of what I'm looking to do, creating a little bit more of a demand in certain times of the year rather than just people expecting there's going to be 15 sauces all the time. I
Yep.
do have to scale back because it's weird how this company has grown, and yeah, taking it to different levels. But I gotta scale it back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and kick it on over to the game.
Yep, I'm in.
Here we go. We have a very special edition of the 5. If this is your first time checking this out, the 5 comes in a 2-part game. The first round, typically you're going to be gaining an understanding of how you want to play it, how it goes, and everything in between. By round 2, you have a good understanding, and typically that one kind of flows a little bit better. So there's 5 images I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you them one at a time. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. That is your ranking order. 1 can be the best, or 5 can be the best. It's totally up to you. How you score them, how you rank them is 100% your choice. The only thing we can't do is we can't move them after they are set. So
All right.
we'll talk about if you would have changed it or what have you. But up first, we have coffee.
Oh, are we talking ingredients or just my love of that particular
Just
thing?
anything.
Coffee? Let's
Yep.
throw it in. Let's throw it in out of 3.
All right. Get that on over there. And we shall pull up the next one. Let's see what this how this one navigates. Now we have tacos.
Oh, 1. That's not even a question. Easy.
All right.
1.
All right. Like it. Do you have a preference on tacos? What kind?
I love just ground beef,
Okay.
chicken. I love a good fish taco as well. Going down to like San Diego or somewhere on the West Coast, California. My gosh, it's had some of the best tacos of my life down there.
All
But
right.
traditionally, ground beef taco with some sour cream, and my cilantro sauce or my mole sauce.
I
Can't beat
like
it.
it. Sounds like a winner to me. Up next, we have hockey. That's all this is supposed to embody.
Okay, hockey was number 2. I've grown up playing all my life. It's just we're born into it up
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask if you're a Senators fan.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay.
No, I'm actually a Vancouver Canucks fan, oddly enough. Um, Growing up as a kid in the early 80s, they had some of the most outlandish uniforms in the history of sport, and I thought they were amazing. Their home uniform was yellow with a black and red V,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the ugliest, most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I was like, "What is this team? I love them." So I as an avid sports fan, I gravitate towards uniform teams that had really, really cool looking uniforms
Yep.
that were vastly different than anybody else's. And I became a San Diego Chargers fan, a San Diego Padres fan, a Vancouver Canucks fan. Now, those that are avid sportsmen at home will say there's not one championship in the mix. And you're right. I'm going on about 45 years of franchise futility here. And I'm one of these days, my team's going to win something.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
But no Ottawa Senators. Growing up in Toronto, of course, they Leaf Nation. Like
okay.
they're, it's just we bleed blue and white up here in Toronto. So, and they're in the playoff race right now. They're
Yep.
hopefully make a good run here.
Yeah. I've had to take a step. I love hockey. I'm probably one of the only Texans that is not all about football. I gave all the idea of keeping up with football in probably '02, right around the time they were really pushing concussions and all the issues. So I switched to hockey because it's like perfect example. Someone gets their teeth knocked out. Someone has a heart attack, whatever. They get back up. They want to get back out on the ice. Not in football. They get hit and they're like, I'm out for the rest of the season. It's like,
yeah, hockey players, they're a different breed. Warriors,
Yep.
they don't play through anything, especially when it comes to, the Stanley Cup playoff run. There's nothing more important to a hockey player when they're going up. They want to hoist that trophy, and they'll play through the most extreme pain just to be on the ice and support their team. Do you get a chance to go see any Stars games down there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are you close enough to?
Yep, definitely close enough.
Okay, good.
And used to go a lot more frequent than I do now. Just with little ones running around and trying to manage that, it's harder to try to either find a time to have me and the wife break away for a game and have someone watch the 3 kids, or to have all 5 of us out there. So yeah, but nope. Next up, we have hot wings.
4.
All right. And then number 5, regardless, is, well, this is just being on a beach.
Something I haven't seen in years, so I guess it'll have to be number 5.
Well, that works out
that
well
worked
then.
out well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hope to change that. Hopefully that'll be one in a few years.
Yep.
Yeah, well, my life has taken a bit of a turn where vacations aren't exactly a list of things I'm able to do these days.
Yeah, no worries. It makes sense. I think that's a pretty solid list. But let's go ahead.
I don't think I'd change anything. I think that's where I would have ranked everything. Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's just beautiful how that shakes out sometimes. But let's run it back with a different category and see if we get a different result. So, up first, we have the 7-pot Dougala.
7-pot Dougala, let's throw 4.
All right. Get that one on over there. Up next, we have the Scotch Bonnet.
5.
All right.
I need heat. Great flavor in that, but I need heat.
All right. Well, then maybe this next one will do the trick. Trinidad Scorpion. So Trinidad Maruga.
Yes. Let's throw that number 2 or 3. What do I say there? Throw that in number 3.
All right. And we have it there. Let's see how that plays out for number 4. We have the Boot Jalokia.
I would say number 1.
Number 1. All right. I like it.
Yeah, I use Ghosts a lot.
And inherently, your number 2 did not fare well. The jalapeno.
All right.
That one
That
snuck
would
in
have been
there.
number 4. But I guess we'll throw it in 2. I do use jalapenos in some stuff, but it's more of an additive to kind of round out the flavor profile than anything else.
Yep. I might have very strategically made that the dirty last card on this one to see how this was going to play.
Reapers was going to be last.
Oh yeah,
if I were to do that. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, would you have changed anything? But you were.
Yeah, definitely the jalapenos would probably have been 4. The Scorpion would have been number 2, and the is that the Douglas there?
Yep.
That would have been number 3.
All right. Easy enough. I like it. And that's the five. I mean, what did you think of it?
Love it.
Well,
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I've seen other celebrities do and sports and athletes do those types of things. I was always like, yeah, it would be fun to do that one day. So
yeah.
thanks.
Well, glad we could check that one off the box. And
Yeah.
if you had anything in particular you wanted to give as a nugget of knowledge.
Uh, a nugget of knowledge, really, it just comes down to be a part of the community. Some of the Facebook groups that we're following up here, and it's a lot of it's basically like U.S. and Canadian people that are commenting all the time. But one of the questions was the guy was starting another company or a new company, and he wanted some advice on what to do, and everybody was throwing their hat in the ring on what to do. And one of the things that I fully believe in that you need to do is you need to be a part of the community. You need to support your competitors because if I had taken on the attitude that I'm going to be taking over the world, I would never have run into people and created the friendships that I've done with Jeff, with Drew, with Dylan out west, with Heiko and Eric and all these guys. And they gave me some great advice early on too, and it helped me shape my company and help me unlock some doors that I thought were seemingly closed. There's a few companies up here that think they're taking over the world, and they antagonize the community. They go out of their way to try to put down other companies, and they'll say things like, we're the best, or nobody does it better than we do, or if you wanted the best, try us. And like when you do that, you just sound ignorant, you sound arrogant, you don't sound like you're very confident in what you do, because if your stuff is good enough, people will tell you your stuff is great. You don't need to say to people my stuff is great. Just let it
Mhm.
happen. So the biggest thing for me would be to be a part of the community. Go to expos. Schmooze with other companies, get to know other people, because you meet so many great people. That's why I love doing what I do. That's why we flew out to Alberta. I wanted to meet some of the Western Canadian hot sauce companies. And usually when we travel, there's going to be about three or four, maybe sometimes five hot sauce companies traveling together. The last time we did it was a few years ago. Unfortunately, he's not doing it this year because he's opened up a secondary store in BC, so he doesn't have time to put the expo on. But 2 years ago, we ended up getting this massive house in Alberta where people from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, we all flew in together and we all stayed at the place and we got to know each other. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. And we all stayed in the place for like 4 or 5 days, went to the expo. And I wouldn't trade those days for anything. So just be a part of it, but support one another. And don't think you're going to take over the world, because you're not. You're going to be in a sea of hot sauces. Touching on my point earlier, make great hot sauces. Stand out that way. Don't try to stand out by being, an a-hole. Don't. It's not going to work. People are just going to resent you, and they're going to see your cockiness, and you're going to lose customers that way. So
Very
that's
well said.
that's my nugget.
Very well said. Okay. Well, now's your chance to put someone on the hot seat. Obviously, you were nominated for the hot seat. So,
Yeah.
this is someone that you would think would make a great guest for the show.
Um, somebody. Okay. Well, there's two people I could mention.
Yeah.
One is a gentleman by the name of Adam Veen. He's based out of the western side of Ontario. Oil Town Hot Sauce is where he is. That's the company. And I guess I should probably know this, but um, I'm not sure if it's a nickname of the area or if it's actual city. But Oil Town is the area that he's in, and that's his sauces are based off of like 10W30, 50W40. So he's another crafter that does very well up here. Takes pride in what he does. So I would highly recommend checking him out. That's Oil Town. And there's another gentleman, Jason Payne, out of Hamilton, and he focuses on the history of Hamilton, a lot of war-based stuff. Because Canadians have significance in the previous wars, so he tries to honor certain aspects of those wars, well, with the products that he makes. And not only does he make hot sauces, but he also makes hot snacks. So he's making a name for himself up here by just creating, like League of Fire style
Okay.
snacks. And he's always tinkering with stuff. He makes a fried cheese slices with like Armageddon powder and ghost powder. So he'll have like different variations of heat. But just how do you not just eat like a bag of fried cheese? I mean, this stuff is amazing. And he's got like these little corn chip challenges that he does as well, which are, you take one bite and you're just immediately getting that powder in your nose and you just start sneezing. So, Heat from the Hammer is what his company is called. I checked those two guys out. So they're doing some interesting stuff up here. And again, become really good friends with these guys. We do lots of expos together. We've all become, in a lack of a better word, we've all become family up here. And we respect what we do. We stay out of each other's territory. And if there's an expo, we'll travel together. We'll stay together. We'll party together. I mean, the amount of beers I've had with these guys is enormous. So, and that's how you become really good friends and create relations for that way, because we are competitors. But I liken it to like my Scotch collection, which is like 90 bottles strong. There's a reason why I have 90 different bottles of Scotch, because they're all different.
Hmm.
And the branding's cool. The flavors are cool. One will be smoky. One will be, very salty and flavorful. They're all different. And that's why people have a hot sauce collection. That's why they go to the expos and they try all these different sauces, and they leave with a bag full of hot sauces. And that's one of the bonuses too of going to these things is, meeting all these other new companies. You trade a sauce. You come home with like 15 more hot sauces. I've got a
Yep.
couple hundred bottles that I don't know when the hell I'm going to get to, but it's great to have.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the perks of going to these things. So yeah, but those are two guys that I would highly recommend.
All right. Well, thank you for those nominations, Adam, Jason. I'll be finding a time to have you on the show that works best, and look forward to scheduling that one out. Is there anything you want to let those that are watching know what's going on with you and how they can find you?
Well, they can find me at purpletonguehotsauce.com. On my Instagram page, it's pretty easy to find Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. We're going to a heavy market season right now, so I promote heavily on where we're going to be. I'm doing a maple syrup festival on the weekend, which is great. Right now on my website, if you go there, you'll see I'm doing a 15% off sale on products for all of April, which was a means to kind of help drive sales to offset a major medical bill that we just had with saving our dog's life. I can't put into words just what that animal means to me. Some people will say, "Oh, it's just a dog, it's just an animal." No, they're not. He's got character. He's got life. We bring him to a lot of our markets, and he sits with us. He's our mascot. Um, he's my reason for being. He's, as I had mentioned before, we lost everything with COVID and our family business being shut down. So to have him pop up in my life the way he did and just inspire me to create a brand, like I essentially owe everything of my life to that beautiful animal. So when it came time to, we have to do emergency surgery on this dog, or you got to put him down. There's no alternative, because he had a twisted stomach,
Mm.
unfortunately, and it's irreversible. And there was still no guarantees that they were going to save his life either. Well, no, on the operating table. So they kind of posed that to me as well. They're like, if we open him up and he's done severe damage, we're going to have to put him down. It's just like, what happened to my beautiful boy? Like this,
Yeah.
he's 10 years old. He's getting up there in age, but I keep joking with him, saying like, you look like you're a 3 year old dog. He still acts like a 3 year old dog. Um, and he's my life. So anyway, we're doing this as a means to kind of draw some sales to our company and kind of help offset, which was a gigantic medical bill. But there was no amount of money that was too much for me to save him, because if I had copped out and said no, just put him down to save the money, then I would have felt that I've cheapened out on my own company. Just everything I stand for, I thought would have just been thrown right out the window. And I'm thankful they were able to save him. He's going to be at all of our markets, and the community rallied around him too, which was like I'm getting emotional thinking about it. So many people reached out and offered how they could help. There's Nico Huguenot from the Capsaicin Cartel out in Montreal. He just did a sales drive, selling some of his sauces, and whatever sauces he had sold, he was going to donate towards, just the funding of this. And I I typically don't like charity like that. If somebody's going to do something for me like that, I need to give back. I had somebody donate $500 to me, and I thought that was unbelievable. It was not expected, but they're getting hot sauce for life. My
Hmm.
wife started a sourdough focaccia bread making company. She's getting sourdough for life. Like, you support me, I'm going to support you back. I just don't want money. Like, it's my issue. We need to figure it out ourselves. But it's just amazing, and it ties back into what I was saying before. When you are part of a community like this and you support the community, this community is going to support you back. And the amount of people that reached out, bought $100 worth of hot sauce here, $100 worth of hot sauce there, just even if it was a bottle and that's all they could afford. It's every time I saw an order come through, it was like, hope your dog's doing well. It just keeps bringing a tear to my eye. It's like, wow, man, like I couldn't have asked for a better second career, second chance at life than what I'm doing right now. So to all those that are watching that have supported, hey, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. And I hope to make everybody proud. I hope to continue making great products that people like. And if you see me in market and you see my dog there, please don't be afraid to come up and say hi, because I'm just so super thankful that he's there.
Absolutely. And definitely hits home with me as well. So glad to hear that the support and everyone came together to really help in that time. And
Mhm.
yes, definitely head on over, grab yourself some amazing hot sauce, and continue to take advantage not only of the sale but also being able to help pay for that medical bill.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on. It's absolute pleasure. There's still so much more to dive into. It feels like the time has just absolutely flown by.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back on. So we'll definitely find a time
Well,
to
I'm
have you
honored to
back.
be on here, Brandon. So thank you for that. And anytime you want, I will absolutely love to come back on. And as I mentioned before, that smoked whiskey sauce that I'm working on, you'll definitely have a bottle of that soon. And all those that follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll know when it's going to be released, because I'm super excited about it. So just keep checking for updates. I'm always telling you what I'm doing.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on. If you want to keep up with Purple Tongue Hot Sauce, I'll have the direct links down below, as well as the socials where you can keep up with Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. And make sure you take advantage of the overall sale that is going on right now. So head on over to the website, grab yourself some amazing sauce. And hey, I could not do this without y'all. Thank you so much, Swear Nation, for being here, sharing out the podcast with other like-minded chili heads. And hey, continue to share that out, because new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, podvision.io. Or if you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, I highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have a website, maybe it's out of date, maybe you had somebody but no longer have that person to be able to update things. Maybe it's just not a great representation of you and your business. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.